Hello, 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 everyone. How we doing today? It's great to be here again. It's a wonderful time at the World Bridge Podcast. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, our viewers. Today is just a wonderful day. I'm
Yep.
here with my two awesome co-hosts, Modupe and Adebola. How you ladies doing today? How's everything going?
Fantastic, blessed, and
Awesome.
highly favored.
Great, great, great. How about you, Adebola? How's everything going?
Great, great. I'm good. I'm glad to be here
Awesome.
again.
All right, all right, all right, all right. That's good. Hey, look, you know what? We're so blessed to be here. It's another
Mm.
wonderful day. And we thank all our viewers for those who have been subscribing, sharing, and liking. And we see all your comments, we see all your posts. And we just want to encourage that, if this is blessing you, let's continue to share, subscribe, and like to everyone within your community. So today, we have another awesome and interesting topic that we're going to be bringing to you today. And today we're going to be talking about caring for aging parents here or abroad. Here at the World Bridge podcast, we try to bring different things together to bridge that wealth
Mm.
gap that has been created, that vacuum that has been created, and bringing knowledge and value so that we can live our best lives, either both home or abroad, but especially more for our, viewers in the diaspora. You know, when we talk about caring for aging parents here or abroad, we're looking at the financial planning, we're looking at who's taking care of what are our responsibilities, in this area. So for many people in the diaspora, success comes with an unexpected responsibility. Our parents are getting older while we're living thousands of miles away. You would agree with me. We may be building careers, raising children, paying mortgages, and planning for our own retirement, while at the same time worrying about our aging mother, father back home, or even here, if you're here in North America, just like, myself, Debola, and Modupe. The challenge is not simply how do we take care of our parents. The deeper questions are who will pay, who will provide the physical care, what happens when siblings disagree, and how do we honor our parents without creating financial pressure, family conflict, or silent resentment. So caring for our aging parents should be a family plan, not an emergency reaction. And that's one of the things that I know that I'm going to get various opinions and feedbacks from, my wonderful co-host here. So my very first question to Modupe is, when should families begin planning for, aging parents? When?
Thank you, Demola. I'm listening to this topic and I'm saying to myself, hello, audience. Every single family component you ask out right now, I'm telling you that this topic is going to be cogent across board. So whether we go to my Asian family, my African family, the Punjabis, anywhere, even the Jewish family, you will find out that we have an aging parent or aging parents, pluralized, in each of this family sector. And so this topic is not one of the ones we talk about and then we pack it to the side. Because guess what? Every single one of us, we will climb up to the milestone. And Demola,
Yep.
I heard your question, so don't be scared. I'm going to address it. Why am I going this route? Or why am I talking about this? I'm saying that things are changing, lives are evolving. So, and I love how when you said planning for aging parent shouldn't now become a family emergency. It should be part of the plan. Even far beyond that, it shouldn't even be something we talk about later in the game when these parents are already aged. You see, because like I said, whether we like it or not, every single one of us, we're going to cross onto that milestone. And which is why on this World Bridge podcast, we are so big on planning. Proper preparation prevents poor performance.
Performance.
So I'll
Okay.
go to that Question right now, Demola. When should families begin planning for aging parents? Like I rightfully said, the best time is not to have a conversation when the crisis is like staring us in the faces. At that time, it's already too late. How they say in my Yoruba language, Otilo, it's already too late, right? Families should be discussing conversations around this, especially if those parents do not have plans in place that needs to be executed. You see that? Because what are we preaching in this age and time? 2026 and beyond. We're saying there should be plans in place. Those plans are what needs to be executed. Now, peradventure, those plans are not in place, right? Then, as we grow on and we know or we foreseen that there's going to be a need of this magnitude, then we need to start having that conversation. When the parent will prefer to leave as they age, right? Maybe some parents will say, they want to get to a particular location. That's where they want to spend the rest of their life. We've seen that, right? We should be having this conversation when their health, right? And what could be their care needs, right? Who has access to important documentation and financial information? Many of us leave such information and conversation and we get so sentimental about it. There is no reason to be sentimental about certain things. Existing savings, pension, insurance, their resources, plans needs to be in place, people. Grandpa, grandma, great grandpa, great grandma needs to have this conversation even before they assume these titles that I'm calling out. Grandpa, grandma, great grandpa, great grandma. They need to, in all honesty. So let's say that maybe they were not aware or they did not have the information. That's why we're letting this cat out of the bag. That we need to take ownership of this now and start having these conversations with them. And if they don't have it, then it means that the children on ground then begin to assume such responsibility. Whether they may eventually need assisted, care at home, who is going to have to care for them? What are certain things to be looked into? Who should make the decision if they can no longer make decisions for themselves? These are all cogent and important agenda items that gets taken, care of within the sphere of estate planning. Waiting until a parent becomes seriously ill often forces family to make expensive decisions. And we see that all the time. Families are dealing with that emotion. Emotion is so high. People are just making decisions out of the blues. So, Demola, when should this planning really begin? Way before crisis comes tearing.
Yeah.
Because aging is not an emergency. We all know it's going to happen.
Yes.
You get it? So it's a stage of life that can be planned for. Many of us were 20 years old some years ago, and we are whatever age we are right now. And we're going to be, whatever age we're going to be, in another few years' time. It's going to happen. Conversations of this nature need to be, addressed. When the sun is still shining, make that A. That's what I'll say.
I definitely love your take on that, Modupe, because one of the things that just jumps to mind is most times we should not, from what I hear, let's not make our children be our exit plan. you know, and I know some of us would have aging parents that maybe they probably didn't go to school. Maybe some of them, did not have the best of careers, and all they did throughout their life was put us through college, put us through all that at their own expense of their own retirement. And this is why we're bringing the awareness. So I'm going to throw these at, Adebola. How can families financially, prepare for parents who live abroad? Because one of the things that I saw, and this was one of my clients reached out to me and said, you know what, Demola, I have an Asian parent, and I know that one day when this parent leaves this earth, the burden is going to fall on me and my siblings. You know what? I'm going to do my part by putting a plan in place such that if that thing happens, I can cash out and I will not be caught with my pants hanging down, if I may say that. And that was, and I was like, wow, that's really interesting. So, to you, Adibola, how can families financially prepare for parents who live abroad, especially putting in consideration those aging parents maybe who did not kind of have the financial standing or the financial wherewithal, to be able to have done that for themselves?
All right, thank you, Demola. And like Muribe started, she really started it very well. And it's quite an interesting topic. At first, I was thinking, okay, um, okay, are we going to be telling people how to take care of their parents and all that? But that's not what we're doing here. We're not telling anybody how to take care of their parents or if you should. You know, it is your decision, it is your choice, but we should take care of our parents. I know we've talked about taking care of, um, making plans to take care of our children on this, on the WebBridge podcast. We've talked about how you can put plans into place and all that. And I just believe that the same thing applies for our, or the parents or for uh, older ones when it comes to that time when the responsibility sort of becomes us, especially within the immigrant community. These are some of the things that we cannot actually put aside. That responsibility does come to us sometimes, not everybody. So what should we do? What are the things that we should put in place, to make sure that we're not killing ourselves or, in the process of wanting to take care of our parents. And that's why we're here today discussing this. So how can we financially prepare for our parents, so that when the time comes, it doesn't become like a burden onto us. All right. So we have to put plans into place. There are strategies that we can tap into that will help us to do that. Because supporting parents, shouldn't as part, it shouldn't become, how will I put it? I would say your generosity without a plan can actually eventually become a financial pressure if you don't like put the proper strategies, the proper plans in place. So encourage families to decide in advance, like how much can we sustainably send monthly or to our parents if you want to send money to them. What expenses are we taking responsibility for? You have to define those things. It's not just that you're just sending money. If you're sending money to them and you don't even know what that money is going for, what expenses remain, your parents' responsibility for those parents that can still do some things for themselves. Is the support, is it going to be a temporary thing or a permanent thing? So in the process of sending money home, you have to put all those things into consideration. Many families just send money whenever a parent calls with a need. The problem is that irregular support can quietly disrupt your own savings, your own retirement contributions, and become like a debt and even disturb some of your other goals. So you have to make sure you have a plan in place. All right. That is very important. And the goal is that we want to make sure that our parents are comfortable. At the same time, we also have peace of mind. So the goal isn't to stop supporting parents, is to support them without jeopardizing, um, I would say the two generations at the same time. Okay. So another thing is that you can have a separate parents emergency fund. Instead of relying on credit cards or personal loans or suddenly just borrowing money from somewhere, to have an emergency fund for that purpose. That when the need comes, you have somewhere that you can just draw from. And you can also do that with your siblings if you have siblings. And everybody has something that they can just draw from. Okay, it's time to do this, and that's what. So you are not dipping into your savings at all time. So it could cover a lot of expenses that may be needed. All right. You can also have healthcare conversations before there is an health issue. There are different plans that you can set up for your parent. Udupe started, a little bit about that, to take care of their health, to take care of, if anything happens, there are strategies and that you can set up. So that's another thing that we can do. We can't just leave everything into the way it used to be. Like, oh, okay, anytime they call, we answer. We have to put plans into place so that your own plan, your own life is not put on a hold, or your own financial goals are not disrupted. So plan for long term, not just emergencies, and also have money conversations with your siblings. It should be something that you can do together if you have siblings. The people that don't have siblings, but the most important thing is that make sure you have a plan. Protect the income of the income that you are also using to support your parent. That is important. Protect that income so that if anything were to happen to you, you still have something to fall back on. That is the essence of protection. And I'm going to stop there so that we can cover some other things that we need to talk about today.
Yeah.
All right,
Awesome.
over to you, Demola.
Awesome. And I really like, the fact especially for those parents who have maybe, multiple children. You mentioned something that, even as the siblings can come together. And we're not saying it has to be equal, but if the siblings can even come together and to chip in and to have some type of plan, when it comes to for those, aging parent, that could be something, and for those who don't have maybe siblings, maybe some well-respected members of the family, maybe some of those people who the parents, these aging parents have been of great support to. There's so many of our parents that they've helped out uncles, sent so many people to school while they had the capacity to do so. Now they are aging. Now they don't have the financial means to do that. Now we're not saying it should be anyone's responsibility per se, but we should all have a duty. Especially, we must remember, as people in the diaspora, we're people of culture, and that's one of the things that we must understand, that our culture, teaches us to do. So when it comes to area of siblings, what if one sibling lives close to the parents while others live abroad? What would this dynamic look like? How should this responsibility, how should it be shared, Modupe? If you have siblings that live close, one sibling lives close to the parent and others live maybe abroad, or they live in far cities away or states away from the parent. Well, how should this dynamic, how should it work when it comes to this, caring for aging parents?
Okay, Demola, thank you. I will address that, and I'm also going to just play the good advocate here and say, well, there are various family dynamics. They only have one child, period. So, which means there's no sibling to come to anybody's rescue. You see what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
that person that has to deal with it. But how can we literally, address this conversation if we have siblings where we have some living close to the parent while others live abroad? And many of us, can relate to that. I say fairness does not always mean everybody contributes the same. And to be in fairness, there will be situations whereby, we might not have equitable, resources across board amongst those siblings, which means we know for a fact maybe there are age gap. Maybe it's only out of that five sibling, only two of them are working, adult. Maybe others are still in school or something. But in all honesty, one sibling may provide, maybe the one providing the physical care, helping grandpa, grandma, great grandpa, great grandma with transportation, right? To doctor's visit, you know, helping with the grocery, trying to, provide companionship, having conversations that make them feel young again, right? So they are just not bored. Another may be the one providing that financial resources. The person providing that financial resources might not even be there physically because that person is not physically present. So are we going to say the person who is physically present is the one, oh, grandpa and grandma should give the golden medal to? I don't think so. You see? So another maybe the one handling paperwork, maybe that's the person that has the, the legal instincts amongst them all. Who's going to handle paperwork, talks to grandpa, grandma, great grandpa, great grandmas, lawyer, they are financial advisors or something, right? That's the person that does that. Now, the goal is, should we, ensure fairness, at the expense of equitable contribution? I just think that when it comes to that, there has to be a conversation, and we need to be truthful to ourselves. And I think everybody needs to be treated right. You see what I mean? So it's not going to be a conversation of, well, out of 10 siblings, only 5 siblings are even ready to do anything or to lift a finger. Things like that, create, resentment among siblings, which is what you were alluding to before. But if we also look at it from the other angle, because somebody's there in the audience and saying, Dupe Demola and Adebola, hey, I'm the only child in my family, and I have great grandma, great great grandfather, and all of this. And are you saying, where am I going to look for? Am I going to go outsource those siblings? No, I'm stuck with them. You see what I mean? And so I will always fall back to this conversation. We've seen what the baby boomers did. We've seen how they were spent for. Many of us live in household. We know of uncles and aunties that we are not probably even related with, but ended up living in our house. You see, they cared for them. Like you said, they sent them to school. They sent them to trade schools. Many of them had to sacrifice their retirement funding because, again, they believe so much in communal living. But my question to us today is that still sustainable? If we continue this route, how far is it going to get us? How far will Alpha really get us? In all honesty, now we are in the age of the Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas, very soon the Gen Betas. You see? So do you think if the script was given to the recent generation, are they going to play it that way? Which is why I am such an ardent believer that in this age and time, we also need to start planning and putting things in place. Demola said it over and over again, and if I have to count, I'll count 1,000,000 times. Okay, don't come for me, all right? She talked about plan it, set a plan, and she's saying the truth. You see, while our baby boomers' grandparents have done all of this, and we are probably taking care of them in whatever capacity we can, let me tell us a secret. Research is out. Medical research is breaking forth. Longevity risk is on the high, which means people are growing older. All praise to God. Which means retirement funding might run out. What plans do you have in place to take care of this? You see that this is going to go beyond siblings coming together, take care of plans, this, that, because they also have their own immediate need to take care of. So we as millennials, the Gen Zs, right, of this world, the Gen Alphas of this world, learning from their parents, uncles, and auntie, it's a high time to start thinking beyond, outside of the box.
Wow.
Whether we like it or not, it's something we're all going to face.
And you've really unpacked a lot. And it's definitely something to really think about, especially, like you said, for the millennials, the Gen Zs, you're also going to get to that point whereby you're also going to be aged. Would you want to become a burden to somebody? And we get it. We don't want no one to become, none of our parents pray to ever become a burden to their children. No. Circumstances has led to that. But as we start to plan, as we start to prepare, knowing that aging is inevitable by God's grace, what plans do we have in place? Do we know about long-term care plans? Do we know about plans that will take care of us? God forbid we become chronically ill. These things that will put a plan in place such that we're in a better financial position and not be a burden for others. You mentioned something which was very important, resentment. These could lead to resentment, especially where there's siblings, when everybody feels that I'm doing more, you're not doing as much as I'm doing. But everyone in their own little capacity is doing what they can afford to do. Because guess what? Our aging parents, there's only so much we can do because we have our hands full as well. So my next question is to Debola is, what legal and financial documents should families think about? Because this is very important as we keep talking about aging parents as well. As we're supporting them, we are also making sure that whatever it is they've worked for, it's not just going out the window.
And they be protected.
They're protected. So what legal and financial documents should families think about, when it comes to caring for our aging parents?
All right. Thank you, Demola. Uh, I just want to say, Mudipe really said a lot about, about this whole topic in a way that it should just be clear to people, you know, what they need to do. Like what we're trying to tell you out here. Like I said before, not telling you how to take care of your parent, but just that things have changed from the way it used to be. And the same thing in the when we start talking about legal documents or not just doing things anyhow. There's some things that you really have to put in place. So families should consider having important documents organized before they are needed. That is very important. Make sure that you have them in place. Depending on the parents' country or circumstances, and some of these documents may include things like the wills, your estate documents. It doesn't mean that you're trying to kill them because from where we come from, when you talk about wills and things like that, you can't even ask your parent that, oh, daddy, do you have a will? Or mommy, do you have a will? You can. It's like it's not something that you want to ask because they're going to tell you that way. Are you trying to kill me or something? But it's important now. If we have to force it out of them, we may have to force it out of them. If you have to be the one to help them get it, but it is important. Healthcare directives. What's going to happen if they can't make decisions again about their healthcare? These are important things that you need to have. Power of attorney. Who is going to make decisions for them? Do you want to leave it in the hands of the medical facilities? Because that's the kind of things that happens here when they don't have directive, they don't have power of attorney, or who's going. And then you will be surprised that you, as the immediate family, may not be able to make decisions on their behalf. Banking and financial information, insurance policies. Do they have insurance? That they did, not the ones that you took out on them, the one that they did for themselves or for you. You need to have all these documents and know where they are. It's important. If you happen to need them, you know who to call, who to reach out to. Okay, property documents, pension, and all these medical records. These are all very important. And emergency contacts. That's also another important information that you need to have at hand. So, for parents living in another country, families should also understand that legal documents, the power of attorney may not work the same way across different jurisdictions. So you have to, put that into consideration and make sure that you follow the right process for whichever area, whichever location there. So, and the key message here is that if the family doesn't know where these documents are, a crisis is the worst time to start running around and looking for them. So let's make sure that we know where they are and we have everything organized. Thank you, Demola.
Thank you. I want to appreciate you, Adebola Mundupe. I mean, you guys have really brought and shed a lot of light, to this topic. And our viewers, if you find this topic very interesting, if you have, recommendations or comments, or you think otherwise of what you've had tonight, today, Put it in the comment section. We want to hear your thoughts. We want to know what you think about this. However, I want us to understand. I want to leave us with this. We should not wait for the next medical emergency,
Mm,
phone call, or family crisis.
mm,
Rather, we should make sure that we're reaching out to one another from time to time. We're sitting down with our aging parents,
mm,
even though these conversations might be uncomfortable. We should
Mhm.
know the needs, we should know the numbers, we should define the responsibilities, document the plan, build the resources. Because the greatest gift we can give our aging parents is not just money, it's the peace of knowing that their future and the family's future has been thoughtfully planned.
mm.
On our next episode, we want to say thank you, everyone, for watching today. God bless you. Remember to subscribe, to like, and share. I want to
Sure.
thank you again, my wonderful co host, Adebola Modupe. See you on another episode. God bless. Stay rested and have a blessed week. God
You
bless.
too, sir.
You
Signing out.
too.
Take
Bye.
Bye
care.
for now.
Bye.
Bye.